not be answering, we won't ask that question. We actually had that happen last year. And what we'll say is to the person that asked the question, please get with that person later and then discuss whatever issue you may have. I have the questions here. They're going to be turned down, and we're going to start with each person along the line, and they will come and draw a question that they can't see. And then each person after that will answer the same question. Okay? You're going to have, each of you will have a 2-minute opening statement. Then you will have a 2-minute closing statement at the end, and then we will take the questions that are giving us from the audience. Okay? Y'all ready? Okay. All right, Richard. I'm just going to put the questions right up here.
I was asked today why I was running for town council, and the suggestion is made, are you just bored on Tuesday nights? And the answer to that question is no, it's not because I was bored on Tuesday nights. It came out of a deep concern for the direction of our town. I have watched down through the last several years a number of things. The first and foremost is the increasing property tax rate for the town of Little Elm. It has increased every year for the last 6 years. If we do everything that is proposed this year, it would increase again next year. We set on a property tax rate that is higher than that of Frisco without the amenities that we find in Frisco. Some might say, well, that's simply because we have less property to tax. And my suggestion is no, it is because that we have not done a good enough job in economic development. The offset of property tax is sales tax. Sales tax comes in when companies move in, start businesses, sell products to our people here in Little Elm. That is an area that we're going to have to pay a great deal more attention to. As we begin to develop in that area, it can offset property tax. There is no reasonable way that property holders in Little Elm, most of us have houses that sell between $120,000 and $150,000 in that category. Some of you have seen that go down over the last couple of years. And maybe even you pay less tax than you did a couple of years ago, property tax, because the value of your property went down. One reason that the value of your property went down is because the property tax rate has gone up. A wise buyer coming into this area will open up his computer and he'll take a look at it and he'll compare the property tax rate with Little Elm and Frisco. He will see that it's cheaper for him to move into Frisco instead of Little Elm. It makes it harder for you to sell what you have in the way of a home if you should need to sell it and turn it over, move in another direction. I also have a number of things that we are looking at, and you're holding up a time or something?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Okay, so when you hold up stop, I stop, right? Okay, a couple of things that I want to increase what we do in economic development in this town. I want to increase our pro-business side a little bit. Does that mean that we give business absolutely everything they want? No, we can't do that, as you already know. But we can make it easier to do business in our town, and that is something that we need to pay a lot of attention to. We have a huge amount of debt in the EDC that needs to be taken care of. We are paying a large interest rate in a number of areas in EDC that is hindering development in that area. These are all things that are going to need to be adjusted. We also need to improve our relationship with Frisco, Frisco ISD, Little Elm ISD, and TxDOT, and Austin. All of these areas I feel are lacking. Some may not, but I feel that they are lacking, and we need to develop our relationship in those areas in order to do what we need to do. Thank you.
Okay, you want a question for a minute?
Hey, Brian.
Good evening, and first off, thanks everyone for coming out. Appreciate the concern you have for our city and our downtown. And that's basically the main reason I'm running today, is for my concern for this town. I love raising my family here. I've been here since 2006. I love the atmosphere. I absolutely appreciate everything that has happened in this town. However, I really feel that we do have some things that we need to kind of work on. One thing is that basically some macroeconomic issues has affected this town as well as every town around the country. However, I feel we can set a foundation locally to where that when the macroeconomic issues start to turn around and take a positive turn, we're already set to where that we're already ahead of the curve. One of those things is definitely working with the EDC to help correct some of the issues that we've kind of gotten ourselves into, and more or less aligning ourselves and creating that synergy from the council to the EDC to where that we're all on one page and we're all basically on one focus and one goal. One of those goals is simply filling in some of the vacant commercial slots that we have in various pad sites throughout the town. Just such as the old Papa John's site right there on, I believe that's El Dorado.
2 minutes.
Can I ask a question? I've been timing him, and I have, the other gentleman went 4 minutes and 33 seconds. So, I mean.
Yeah, he's correct. I've got a timer here too.
Yeah.
You've got some time, quite.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
Keep going.
There's opening 2 minutes and closing 2 minutes, right?
No, it's opening 2 minutes. The closing is at the end.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry, go ahead.
Okay, sorry for the interruption there. But I'll just wrap it up as quick as I can. Basically, I feel that filling in some of those pad sites will set a foundation for other businesses outside of Little Elm to make it more attractive for them to want to invest in our town and bring their businesses to our town. But at the same time, we must maintain the essence of our locally owned businesses and create more locally owned businesses to make sure we're spending our money here in Little Elm and not spending our money in surrounding cities. And hopefully it will attract more people from surrounding cities to spend their money here. Because currently, for every $6 a Little Elm residents spend, only $1 is spent here in Little Elm. That is a ratio that has to take a turn for the better and in our favor. So I have plans and I have strategies to help implement and create a situation where that we can make that happen. Thank you.
Good evening. I am David Taylor, and I want to thank the Little Elm Area Republican Group for setting this up so we can have a chance to meet and chat and talk and get to know what everyone thinks. One of the things I was pleased about as I read through the articles that Emily wrote is that many of us are hoping for the same thing. So it sounds like no matter who you hope for, the direction is going to be a similar path. We all wanted to see new companies come into town, new retail establishments come into town. We want to be sure that we stay fiscally responsible. And so I commend all of us, and all our people running on having the same goals, desires, and vision to some extent in our town. I grew up in a small town. It was 3 blocks wide and 7 blocks long. My town, as the youth grew up, the town got smaller. And it's still there. It has a park, it has a green elevator, and it has a church that is now used as a storehouse by the people who bought it. So the town shrunk. And it wasn't incorporated, so no matter what decisions we made, it was probably going to stay the same and be that way. But it was a great place to live. It had a lot of good values. And as my family and I were looking to find a place to live, we looked for a small town. My wife grew up down in Carrollton. I grew up out pretty much in the middle of nowhere. And so every place we've lived has been in a place that's been in transition. It's been at the edge of suburbia, so I could have open land behind me and she could have city in front of her. And we've chosen places like that the last 13 years of our marriage. And that being said, I am so excited about the possibility of being able to serve Little Elm as we make future decisions about what might come into town. I want to find a place that's family friendly, find businesses that are family friendly. I live in Place 5, but the things that are going to happen in Place 5 over the next 3 or 4 years, it's going to affect the whole town. I looked at the map and everything that's coded to St. Colors along 380, there are no houses there, but slated for business. Along 423 where things are, there's pad sites. I want to make sure that we have things that will invite people in and not repel people. I don't want businesses that are there to make money like a liquor store, some entertainment business. I want something that will draw people into town and want to be here. So with that being said, I look forward to having the opportunity to serve our town as it moves forward in the future.
Well, let's start out by saying when you do vote, make sure it's for David Gallant, since there are plenty of Davids here today. Let me just clear that out. And I'm hoping that I can certainly garner your vote, because I did put on my big boy clothes today, so hopefully we'll be able to make an impression with all of us. I don't think that there's any problem with the number of candidates or the functions that they're running or what their message is. In fact, you should be proud of the fact that you got enough folks here that care enough to want to run to represent. You know, the one thing that I'm not hearing as I'm going through all of the background, the stories, and the economic development is your story. Yours being the citizens. Personally, I was impacted by some of the changes that we've seen come across, some of the votes from the town council, some of the things that are occurring. And what I haven't seen is the council coming across in a way that represents you, that includes you, that informs you. There's nothing worse than when we make zoning changes or corrections or adjustments within the town, and you only find out about it at the last minute, or you don't find out about it at all. That's not right. The aspect is that you as citizens here in the town need to be more connected to your government. And whether they like to admit it or not, whether I get the opportunity to serve you, that's the whole point, is that I'm serving your needs. And the nice thing about the at-large position is that's its whole designation. It's not to serve one of the places, it's to serve the entire town. It's an opportunity for you to have a mouthpiece, or a bullhorn, or a whisper, whatever it is you need in that town council to get your point across. But the point is that you need to make sure that your voice is heard, and that's what the role of the elected official is. You're up here because you're passionate. You want to see change. You want to see action. You want to make sure that the folks around here are represented. Yes, there are businesses. Yes, there are citizens. And they all need to be included equally. And I want to make sure that as we progress forward, because let's face it, growth is coming, right? There's growth all around us. There's sprawl, people in Plano, people in Dallas, they're getting fed up out there. They're moving further towards the lake, towards the areas, towards...
2 minutes.
Thank you. And my point to all of that is that as that growth occurs, we need to make sure that it's responsibly handled, that your interests are measured, and that you have the opportunity to speak out and make sure that we don't grow in spite of you, that we grow with you. And that's one of the largest reasons why I want to make sure that I'm your representative. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Bill Rebkin. I'm council person from place number 6 in Little Elm. Been on the town council for about 10 months. So I have a perspective that is maybe a little bit different from the rest of these folks. I can have a little historical look at what's happened over the last year, what I've accomplished, as well as be able to look forward and tell you what I see as the vision for the future. As many of you know, a good friend of many of ours, Brenda Mills, passed away, and she was on the council. She asked me if I would run in her place, and I did, and I won. And I would have to say, and I think her family would agree, that I've represented her place very well. I think the decisions that I've made would have been decisions she would have made. I think the decisions that I made would have been agreeable with her. They were, in every decision that I have made, I have looked for the citizens' input. One case in point that's in the news recently is the multifamily housing. I personally do not have an objection to multifamily housing, and I put a little bit of stock in the 50 emails I got from people in Frisco, but I put a lot of stock in the 20 emails and phone calls and personal contacts I had from people in Little Elm that said they didn't want it. So I voted against it. Not because it was what I thought was best, but I knew that's what the people in town wanted. I had not one person tell me, vote yes for that. Let's change the zoning. That's just a case in point. There's been things mentioned about the economic development